What's going on, guys? Seasonal Media here, back in the garage. Evo is back up on the jack stands, and I think all of you know from my my trip video to Mitsubishi Owners Day event that my Evo didn't make it. I was driving around for like 45 minutes and it started making this weird vibration on the highway when I'm cruising. It was only happening under acceleration. It didn't really matter if I was turning the wheel left or right. It was just happening when I was accelerating the car. So right there and then I saw it was a CB shaft or maybe drive shaft. I just had my brand new NT03s balanced and the car realigned, so I knew it was not my new wheels. So let me actually show you what it looks like from under the car. This is of course a CV shaft here, and it will rotate as the car spins. If you look here, this is the inner CV shaft boot and this is the outer, and as you can see there's no leak here, so that's why I initially thought that the CV shaft was good to go. But when I pull on this, you can see and hear that it's making the noise. So the internal balls are going bad, and I'm gonna be removing the CV shaft so that the car is good to go. As I already explained, I just had the car aligned, so it's kind of unfortunate that I had to remove the suspension system to remove the CV shaft vibration issue. But to make sure that the car is going to be set at the right camber after it's installed, I like to mark down where the bolt is in relation to where the suspension is, so that way when you're reinstalling this, it's at the right camber settings, or at least somewhat similar to what it was set at before. So just take your marker and mark it down on the bolt and on the suspension coilover. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and remove the coilover, at least from the bottom. So I'm going to remove this bolt, this nut, as well as on the bottom here, bolt here, nut on the left. Super easy to do. So these are the bolts that came off of the coilover. This is the bolt that connected the coilover to the vehicle right here. And you can see that the top bolt has a little notch on top. You see that? That, as you rotate, adjusts the camber of the car. As you can see, if the notch is on top, it's basically centered, but as you move it left or right, you can adjust the axis of the coilover in relation to the vehicle, and that's how you adjust the camber. And on the bottom, you can see that there is nothing like that. So the bottom is just straight in, and the top bolt is what's important, and adjust the camber on the car. Alright, next up is your wheel hub. I got this safety pin out of the car already. The safety pin just goes in one of the holes and expands. Super easy to remove, I don't need to film that. Once that's out, what you want to do is take I have here a 32mm socket, this huge thing. Put it in here and literally just take this thing out with your impact. So hook this in and go at it. Just like that. So there's the axle nut, and you got a little washer behind it that you need to take out. And for those of you who don't have a nice impact like this, I just want to tell you that it's a great investment. I know it's super expensive to buy, but if you work on your car quite often, you saw just how easily this axle nut came out. This is gonna be kind of a pain to take off if you don't have a power tool like that. So for anybody who work on the cars pretty often, it's a good investment. If you have a girlfriend who is nice enough to buy you Christmas gifts, maybe that's something you should tell her to get. Alright, next up, coilover will come off your wheel hub. Just slide that out because those are the two bolts that were holding the coilover in before. And as for the axle, it should be just kind of sliding inside as you pull this forward. And what I like to do is put a jack stand or a jack under it so this whole assembly don't drop. You don't want the pressure on the brake lines hanging off by the stainless steel lines. You don't want to damage these things. Just make sure you have support under and pull this thing out. And as you pull that out, you kind of want to tap in the axle. And in my case, it's pretty easy to slide in. I'm just pushing with my finger. But essentially, you want to get the CV shaft out of the wheel hub assembly by just pushing it in. Alright, so the CV shaft is out. Pretty simple. This is the part that goes to the wheel bearing. You can see that there's a couple slits here for the speed sensor. The CV shaft boot here on the outside and inside, both look okay. But as you know already, it is making that clicking noise and needs to be replaced. On the inside here, it's got the sleeves to connect to the transfer case. What you have to do though, if it's not coming out real easy, is get your ply bar, stick it in here and kind of just yank it, and this whole assembly will come out. So I tore apart the boot on the inside for educational purposes, should I say. You can see here that the bearing, which is this piece right here, is completely destroyed. Let me rotate it, and I'm gonna be having a hard time rotating it with one hand, but see that? See how wobbly that is? That is no good. It is essentially completely destroyed, and this is what was causing the vibration. I'm gonna pick up a new OEM one and reinstall it, and I should be good to go with this vibration issue. And it sounds like this literally when you're driving the car. So remember this noise. It's like really fast, like that. Alright guys, I was able to find a new axle just 10 minutes after discovering that I have a bad axle, thanks to my evil friends who live just 5 minutes from my house. This is, should I say, new OEM axle. It only has 30,000 miles and it's basically brand new and it's good to go. There is no cranking in this axle and it's gonna be good to go. I'm gonna install this real quick and see if the vibration issue goes away, and it should.